Hello, Math 2 people from Mrs. Roberts and my class. This video I'm going to try and do with my German accent, if you don't mind, just for humor's sake. So I'm going to flip it around, and we are going to use a German accent. So, solving two-step equations. Cut your paper down the middle, and then in thirds horizontally to make 6 equal sections. Number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, and number 1. Negative 5m minus 6 equals 24. You can copy this and start, or you can pause and do it yourself, or you can watch me do this. So pause if you want to do it first, but here I go. I'm going to draw my line down the middle. The opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6. I add 6 to both sides and opposites cancel. Opposite both sides now, and I summarize. Negative 5m equals 24 plus 6 and is 30. Right 24 and right 6 is right 30. Now the opposite of multiplying by negative 5 is dividing by negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 and is 1. 1 times m is m, and remember, 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Multiplying and dividing and the signs are different, and the answer is negative 6. So I'll stop with the German accent. And you could check in your head, negative 5 times negative 6 would be 30, and 30 minus 6 is 24. So I'm right, and I know I'm right. So the second question is this one. C divided by 4 minus 8 equals negative 13. And if you're not sure what to do, just think about this. What's happening first to C? Well, first, aren't you dividing by 4, and then aren't you subtracting 8? This is in the morning. So in the evening, aren't you going to add 8 and then multiply by 4? So here's my little plan. So anyways, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Opposites cancel. Opposite both sides. Now I write my equation. What's left? I have C divided by 4 equals, if I went left 13 and then right 8, or if I started at negative 13 and then just went right 8, wouldn't I end up at negative 5? And then the opposite of multiplying by negative, or dividing by negative 4 would be multiplying by negative 4. And you can go times 4 below. I like it when it's a fraction, just do it right here. Times 4, big dot, times 4, big dot. So it's clear it's not a decimal. Those cancel. C equals, multiplying, dividing, and the signs are different. Your answer's negative 20. You could have went to times 4 times 4 down below. And just double checking. Negative 20 divided by 4 would be negative 5. Negative 5 minus 8 is negative 13. I'm right, and I know I'm right. So even if you don't show your double check, I sure encourage you to live in double check land. Double check. Number 3, here's a different looking one. So here, I'm going to show my plan. Here's morning, evening, I'll just abbreviate. Make my little T-chart here. What's happening to the variable first? Well, it looks like I'm subtracting 5 first, and then I'm dividing by 2. So wouldn't I multiply by 2 and then add 5? Isn't that my little plan here? So anyways, I'm going to draw my line. So I'm going to multiply by 2. You can put it up here or down below if you want. I'm going to put it right here. Big dot times 2, big dot times 2. The 2's cancel. So m minus 5 equals, multiplying and dividing, and the signs are different. My answer is negative. So you do the opposite both sides and you write your equation. Now I'm going to do the opposite both sides. The opposite of subtracting 5 is adding 5 to both sides, and cancels, and m equals. If I start at negative 12 and I go 5 to the right, I'm going to end up at negative 7. Or if I go left 12 and then right 5, I end up at negative 7. I could double check. What's negative 7 minus 5? Well, if I'm at negative, if I go 7 to left and 5 more to left, I went 12 to left. And then if I divide by 2, that's just half of that. What's half of negative 12? It's negative 6. So I'm right, and I know I'm right. Right, number 4. Again, here, so copy down, pause if you want to pause and do it yourself, and then check. You can always you can always pause it and do it yourself first. And so here's my little plan, morning, evening. Looks like I'm multiplying by 2/3, and then I'm adding 6. So in the evening, I'm going to subtract 6, and then I'm not going to divide by 2/3. I'm going to multiply by 3/2. When it's a fraction, just multiply by the reciprocal. It's going to be so much easier. So here we go. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, and then I'm going to write 2/3 m equals, if I am at negative 10, I go 6 to the left. Aren't I going to be at negative 16? Or bad guys and more bad guys is a lot of bad guys. That's another way I talk about it with my kids. And then the opposite of multiplying by 2/3, you could divide by 2/3. That's kind of a knucklehead maneuver. I would multiply both sides by 3/2. That's what you're going to end up having to do eventually, so why not just do it off the bat? 3 divided by 3 is gone, 2 divided by 2 is gone. That's just 1. 1 times m is m. Become 1 with the problem. And then I'll stick a 1 under here, make them both fractions. 16 divided by 2 is, that's right, 8. And 8 times 3 is 24. Now what kind of 24 is that? Well, multiplying, dividing, and the signs are different. My answer is going to be negative 24. And I could double check. What's 24 divided by 3? That's 8. 8 times 2 is 16. But multiplying, dividing, and the signs are different. The answer is going to be negative 16. And negative 16 plus 6. If I'm at negative 16, I add 6. Wouldn't I go 6 to the right? Wouldn't I end up at negative 10? So I'm right, and I know I'm right, which is precious. That's the goal. That's my goal for you. That hopefully is a goal for yourself. Okay, 2 more here. So here's like the toughest kind, when they're all fractions. You just got lots of fractions here. So here's my little plan here. Looks like I'm multiplying by 3/4, and then I'm subtracting 1/3. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 1/3, and then I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, 4/3. So anyways, I'm going to add 1/3 to both sides. And some of you guys are intimidated by fractions, and you don't want to be. You want to think fractions are your friends. So 3/4 and opposite both sides, write your equation. Over here I have to have common denominators. What's my common denominator going to be when the denominators are different? 5 and 3 are the denominators. Well, it's 15. If I multiply these by 3, this becomes 6/15, which is the same as 2/5. It's just smaller slices of the pizza. This becomes times 5 times 5. This becomes 5/15. So 6/15 plus 5/15 is 11/15. Right? Now, to finish off. Remember, when your coefficient, which is the number next to the variable, is a fraction, you don't want to divide by that. You just want to multiply by its reciprocal, which means to flip it. And so another way of defining solving is trying to get the letter of the variable all by itself. And isn't the easiest way to get rid of 3/4 is to multiply by 4/3? Don't the 3's cancel? Don't the 4's cancel? Become 1. So over here, there's nothing to cross cancel or anything. You just multiply across the top. I get 44. And then I'm going to multiply across the bottom, and I get 45. So m equals 44 over 45, which is almost 1. And I'm not going to bother double checking that. That'd be brutal. So I'm just going to kind of hope I'm right there. And the last one here, so you can copy that down. 7 minus 2m equals negative 9. And once you give that a try, right? You can pause it to do it, of course. I'm not going to wait for you to do it. So over here, again, here's my blueprint. Here's my plan. Morning, evening. Again, you don't have to do the plan. Looks like looks like you're multiplying by negative 2. That's going to be kind of hard to, you might mess up on that. That's why I did this. What kind of 2 is that? It's negative, so you're multiplying by negative 2, and then you're adding 7. So in the evening, I'm going to subtract 7, and then I'm going to divide by negative 2. Here's my plan. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. The 7's are gone. I get negative 2m equals, if I'm at negative 9 and I go 7 to the left, I'm going to be at negative 16, or bad guys and bad guys is more bad guys. And then the opposite of multiplying, so opposite both sides, write your equation. Now opposite both sides, the opposite of multiplying by negative 2 is dividing by negative 2. Anything divided by itself is 1. 1 times m is m. And here, multiplying, dividing, and the signs are the same. My answer is going to be positive 8. And I could double check. If I plugged it in, 2 times 8 is 16. What's 7 minus 16? Well, that'd be negative 9. So I'm right, and I know I'm right. So anyways, hope that was helpful.